let's see here. I think we're live now. Hey guys, this is Rich. Thanks for checking in at the Kansas City Networking Connection. And I am here today with Jeff Newhard. And first thing we've got to do, first and always, is we're going to do our disclaimer, our official disclaimer. For the record, we are not, nor will we ever be giving legal, investment, or health advice on this channel. Our opinions are our own, and if you need those services, you should seek competent advisors in those fields. This information is presented for entertainment purposes only. You have been warned. And then finally, I'll say that the idea behind this channel is Zig Ziglar quote, "You can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want." And that's what I do. I kind of help connect everybody. Hey, Larry's out there saying hi, and make sure everybody knows who everybody. I get calls all the time. Who should I call? So this kind of makes it easier for me to just send people to this area to find out what they need. So I'm going to introduce Jeff. Jeff is our special guest for this stream. So Jeff, why don't you take it away and tell everybody about what you do and how you do it?
All right. Thanks, Rich. Again, I just want to reiterate for my part that disclaimer that Rich just read, because you'll probably hear me talk about today in some of the questions of investment advice and or fund advice. And that's what I do for myself. I don't do it for anybody else. And so if you hear me talk about that today, it's just for myself and what I do, what I know how to do. So again, if you're seeking that kind of advice, do contact competent legal advice out there or those licensed people involved. And thanks again, Rich, for allowing me to be on your channel today. And I am Jeff Newhard, and I like to call myself the accidental fund manager in a lot of ways, because I did become a fund manager just by accident.
Well, what a great problem.
I've been in and out of real estate for 30 years, and I'm a retired Army colonel and worked for many other companies and contractors, but I've always had real estate in the background. I've been doing it here and there and on the weekends and nights and evenings and just all over the place. So I have had a lot of experience with it and had the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent portions of real estate. Now, with all the experience, I'm like I said, I'm the accidental fund manager. I started doing managing funds for my family funds, my parents and myself, and learning the different ways that we can make money. For many years, we've been invested in the stock market and watched the ups and downs with the stock market that was going on. And I finally got tired of that and said, there's got to be a better way. Of course, my parents were getting older and they were looking at a more stable, steady income. And so that's when I started looking at other ways that I could do it and actually help them out, help myself out, and just get better at what we do. And that's when I got into buying trust deeds. I got into making private money loans and making loans for new builds, that kind of stuff off and on. But what I really specialize in is the lending of the private money and we're buying the trust deeds and making the loans. Had a lot of experience in that over the years, got burnt many times over and over again. I don't know why I banged my head up against the wall, but at least for the most part, I didn't lose that much money. And I just learned the process and what needed to be done to make it right, make it legal, and make it so that everybody's always safe, not just our funds and our money, but the investors' funds and the borrowers' funds. And that's when I came up with the process that I use now and how I lend money out to anybody that needs it. And sometimes, though, I'll just flat out tell people no, because the deal doesn't make sense. Your ideas don't make sense. What you're thinking doesn't make sense. And people do look at me and say, what? You always tell people you lend money. Well, yeah, only if the deal makes sense.
Well, it's good to lend money to make some more back.
Correct.
That's the goal, right?
That is the goal. And then at the meetings we attend, and of course we met at the Mary meeting, but I always get people saying, well, I want to be the lender when I grow up. I say, no, you don't.
Yeah, right.
You just don't lend money and money comes back. It just doesn't work like that. There is a whole process in between
right.
you got to know about.
Well, everybody's job is always easier if you've never done it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's every other job I see. I'm like, that guy's got a gravy job, man. But then you get into the weeds and you're like, wow, this sucks. So,
yeah.
So now my first question is, how did this start? And you kind of covered that a little bit, how you got started, but how long have you been doing this now? as far as being, the accidental fund manager, I guess?
For the accidental fund manager part, I've been doing it or developing the process for the last 7 years.
Okay.
And then I really got into it more in the last 3. When I found and discovered the ways of using the servicers that I use and some of the other funds that are out there, that everybody can trade assets, money, ideas around. And that's where I really discovered how I could buy the deeds of trust and actually make some really good returns with deeds of trust, anywhere from 8 to 15% just on those
Awesome.
alone. And then just keeping that money rolling. And then if a loan comes along needs to make, I can always do that too, because the money in the deed world is 12 months or less that I specialize in. That's my area specialty. I don't like the long-term notes.
Sure.
I stick with the fix and flip notes. And those are usually 12 months or less. And to be honest, the ones that I've been involved with here lately have all been 4 months or less. And
those are great.
Those are great.
I mean, and you want people to get in, get out, and everything's secured. And the longer it drags on, man, the worse it gets. And you might explain a little bit what that you're doing basically for the layman, right? Because somebody might be watching this and like I understand what you're saying. Some other folks might not.
Okay. Well, basically, these deeds of trust are they're notes. They're actual notes out there that people have,
like a mortgage,
have created, and they're just for the specific purpose of a fix and flip loan for an investor. The ones that I concentrate on buying are from other funds that have actually gone through. They vetted the investor, they vetted the project, they vetted the property, and the investment is no more than 70% of the ARV based on an appraisal. And that I use those same processes in my lending that they use. And so everybody can be on the same sheet of music. And when we get all that information back and they say, yeah, you can buy this deed of trust at X percent, usually around 10, 11%. It does vary from 8 to 15%, but the average is 10 to 11%. And buy out the note from them. The servicer keeps a couple of percentage points per month. They collect the monthly payments. They keep their part, and they send the rest on to the investors like me or anybody who buys those notes. And everybody makes money along the way. They have a good track record. The ones that I use, less than 2% of their notes ever go bad.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, man. That is really great.
That's even better. You're looking at a time frame of less than a year anyway.
Right.
These people have put more money into it. They've come with anything over 70% to make up the difference for the property. So they're invested. Everybody's invested to make a profit on this. And so it's a pretty lucrative type of investment that comes about.
So that's good. Before I forget, everybody go into the description there. You'll see how to reach out to Jeff and get in contact with him and put a bunch of different information about him and his links. So whatever you need to do, if you want to get in contact with him about something you're thinking about doing or whatever, his information's out there. Be sure to go to those other pages too and join the groups that are out there. We're always growing this group to try to make sure that everybody gets connected with all the people they need to find. So, and then the next question I have is, what were the biggest issues with getting this started? Because and you can pick one specific thing or the whole thing in general because you've done a lot. I mean, obviously, what was the hardest thing you think getting this particular thing started?
For me, myself, when I started, it's an actual Regulation D 506C fund.
Right.
With the SEC, both at the state.
The government's involved.
Not at the federal level yet, but at the state level. And that all depends on how much money you have under or assets under management. But making sure everything is legal and spending that money, and that's not a cheap thing to do and go about. And the reason I did that is, well, I was doing it for myself and my parents. And of course, we're family. We're not going to beat each other up if something happens. But I wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with what's going on. Well, my mom started saying, hey, Jeff's really got it going for us, and started telling the rest of the family. And so everybody wanted to jump in on it. And so I was de facto creating a miniature syndicate anyway, just in not a legal.
Right, not official, right?
Yeah, not official legal type format. And so people started getting different returns, different links and stuff on their loans that I set them up in. And then they started complaining. Everybody's making money, but they're still going to complain. They're making more than me, or he's making less than me, or whatever. So I just finally said, enough of this. We're going legal. This is everything. Everybody makes the same amount of money now.
Right.
There's not going to be any more of this infighting and stuff going on. So I set it up that way. And now I'm official where anybody, credited, not accredited investors can also jump in. And if they want to make a passive income in real estate and enjoy what I do or how I do it, then they're more than welcome to contact me and get in on making some really good passive income.
Awesome. So did anyone tell you it wouldn't work, when you had to start getting started with this?
Thinking back, there's always the skeptics and the naysayers. There's always the people that say, well, I've never heard of that. And I'll say, well, I've never heard a lot of other things in life either, but here it is. And
right.
And so,
typically if they're making money, you're not the only one ever to done it. Right.
Right.
Nice.
And I'm not doing anything that's not new or some revelation in the market or anything. It's stuff that's always been out there. You just got to search for it.
Right. Most people just don't know about it. I mean, that's the best part, right? People are just ignorant to what's going on. So,
yeah. And, and people always say they're, find that niche or find that blue ocean per se out there that nobody else is playing in or very few people are playing in. And that's really what I found. Just a roundabout way, just poking my head here and there. And
that's awesome. I mean, because that's really, here's the thing. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, like, I'm in high school knowing that this is even a thing. Right.
Right.
I mean, I'm going through this now with a daughter who's getting ready to graduate. And if my parents would have come to me and said, hey, look, you can do notes and stuff, I'd have been like, what? I think my parents would have said, what? So
I'm the same way with my son. He's a senior in high school himself, getting ready to go to college. And he's looking at me, just kind of shaking his head. And I said, well, what don't you understand? He says, everything.
Right.
Everything.
Everything.
Learn it. Well, maybe someday.
Well, at least mine's ready to go. She wants to be a real estate agent or a realtor for sure. So that's good. So, sure, I mean, I can get her started on that pretty easy.
Yeah, definitely.
So she's ready to buy investment properties. So I was like, I like the sound of that. I can help with that too. So,
yeah.
So anyway, and the next question is, do you love what you do now?
Oh, yeah. I love it. When I first started 30 years ago, I was like everybody else, thinking I needed to get the rental property and get the tenants and everybody in there. Had 7 houses and figured out I hate tenants. I've been a tenant myself. I hate tenants. I don't want to get the calls. I don't want to have to deal with anything like that. So that's when I just started looking at other things and other ways to make money in the industry. And now I've got to the point where this is so easy, and it's kind of hard to believe, and some people look at me funny, but it's kind of just a no-brainer. It really is that 2-hour-a-day commitment, and you're good.
That's awesome. So, and that's the thing too, is, I mean, if you wake up every morning going, I can't wait, man, that's what it takes. I mean, and if you don't like toilets or whatever, this is a lot easier.
Oh yeah. Investing in the paper and the short-term paper.
Oh yeah. Right. So how did you find this job? I mean, this is, the other thing nobody really knows about whatever, but now when 30 years ago to go, because now at least there's, 30 years ago, we're getting into where the internet was just starting, but now you can find all this information, get information overload. But how did you find it?
Again, pure accident. Information overload on the internet was the main thing. 30 years ago, I had no idea about what paperwork to do, and I hadn't read a couple of books and kind of remembered stuff. And then if I did it myself, I would sure enough screw it up. I wouldn't cross the T or dot the I correctly. Wouldn't go get the insurance, the stuff you just don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started thinking about, I want to get back in the lending business, and I started Googling again and just looking at ways to do it, and started running across the servicers that actually do that service for you. Of course, it's not cheap when you want to do a loan and have it do it, but it's very worth it to have somebody else being your second and third eyes on all the paperwork and making sure it's done right and everything is done.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will miss it. I missed it. I missed a lot of stuff. Not knowing that I had to do the insurance correctly, or not vetting the project correctly or looking at the numbers wrong or just missing something along the way. But it certainly helps having those second, third eyes helping you.
100%. That's what I love about. I do paperwork really well, except for it's fast and I miss a lot of stuff. So there's a secretary in my office that fixes all those problems.
Yeah, just like the rest of us.
Right. I read that 1,000 times and like it doesn't make sense to her, and she's like, "Wait a minute." So
yeah, and they require me to do it in the most expeditious format and with the most involvement with the title companies and everything. And there are times when I first got in the lending business, title company, we don't need to use title company. Let's just do it. And then you find all the other stuff.
Man,
stuff you didn't think about.
I know. That's why I tell everybody, like they want to skip that step, even on when I do owner finance stuff or whatever, and I go buy them and they're like, I don't want to go to the title company. I'm like, I want to go to the title company. I'll pay it because it's so much, it's worth it to find out if there's anything going on, and they will find it and figure out how to fix it. So
definitely.
And then even ensure that the property is correct. That's the other thing. I had an instance where there was a mistake. They stepped up and fixed it, man. I mean, I'm thinking, God, if I hadn't had a title company, that would have screwed the pooch big time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, been there, done that myself.
Yeah. So, if someone was watching and wanted to follow the same career path, would you recommend doing it the same way, or is there a better way to get started doing what you do
now? We could always do 30 years of experience. Getting one best way to do it. I really don't know one best way to get there because it just was accidental to me. And kind of fell into it. And there's no book about it. There's no, hey, this be the lender or be the person that Jeff did it and how he did it. There's really no course out there.
Maybe you should write that book.
Yeah, and just pay me the $100,000 and I'll do it all for you. Just skip all the in between part.
You write it. I'll market it on Amazon. We'll make a fortune. They'll print it for us and everything. It'll be great. So then I can have my daughter start reading it. So
there you go.
So okay. So what do you need help with now? Like the folks out there watching, they're like, hey, what could you say to them that you go, hey, this is what I could use help with, and they could maybe bring it to you?
Well, I can always use people who need the loans, who need their fix and flips funded, or people who just want to invest. If they know people who want to invest passively and not worry about real estate and everything involved with real estate, then.
And is there a certain number that you don't really want to deal with? It's, like some folks are 50,000 and above. Is there a number for you that doesn't make a lot of sense if it's less than that?
Really, from a passive investment standpoint for my fund, anything under 30 to 35 is not worth the investment.
Right.
And that's
good.
Not for me, but it's
right.
for anybody investing because you're going to tie the money up for at least a year, probably.
Right.
And to get that kind of return that I can get for very small, it's probably not worth the
right. And that's good to know because that's where a lot of people, they think they can, I'll give you $1,200. And it's like, man, we ain't getting nowhere with 1,200, we got to be playing with real money, and be serious about this investment stuff.
Right.
So,
and some people that I've talked to are even considering HELOCs and lines of credit, which is great if you can get a HELOC or a line of credit on your home and you're paying
to go invest that money.
Yeah. And you're paying 5-6% on that. And you invest it with what I'm doing and making 10-12%, the passive income is well worth it.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, as long as it pays it back and you're good. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and
then, do you have a mentor?
I wish I could say I had a mentor. I took the guru courses over and over and over again. I think the first one I ever took was the Carlton Sheets course back in the 90s.
Carlton Sheets.
Yeah, in the good old days.
Up late, watching late night TV, right?
Yep, that was me. But I started out with him, and then I got my hands on any other book I could get my hand on. But I quickly realized all the gurus out there were saying the same thing, different format, saying the same thing over and over again.
Sure.
And so I just kind of pieced it together, asked questions of a lot of different people,
Right.
and just kept going from there. Of course,
And
nobody
who were
has.
those people that, how did you find them? I mean, was it like, I know Mary's where we met. That's obviously I mean, a wealth of information at a room like that, but is there somewhere else that you found these folks?
Just different. Well, they're called masterminds now, but just different.
Yeah. Mastermind.
Meet Mary, and then that's how I got into actually developing the fund and doing the fund right. Was working with people in other masterminds outside of real estate, but into the fund world.
Okay.
That's an interesting world once you get into it.
Oh, I imagine.
There is so much money out there in the market now that people want to invest in, and I call a lot of it just stupid money. I'm old. I'm 56, and when I was their age, the youngsters I call them, they're talking about crypto funds and everything else, and I'm just shaking my head, going, no. And they're
Right.
looking at me, you old fart, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. I was a young fart like you guys were at one time, and I do know what I'm talking about. And,
I know.
and that starts getting regulated. Those things are just going to go out the window and lose money. But hey, you're playing with it now. More power to you. But I'm over here in my safe world.
You're right. Yeah. So, and then, so how can people get a hold of you now? Again, I mentioned that in the description, we've got all your contact info, but if you want to go ahead and give everybody the best way to contact you on here, that way, if they want to just watch the video.
Sure. My phone number is area code 816-721-9869, or my email is Jeff, Jeff, at Newieco, Newieco, privatecapital.com. And I didn't think that email address through too well because it is awful long and hard for people to understand when I'm spewing it out of my mouth. But again, it is Newieco, privatecapital.com.
Well, and if anybody has any problems, they can reach me, and I'll get you to Jeff. It's not a big deal. So
I'm sure you'll help.
All the contact info is in that com area in the description anyway. So
sure.
But, so anyway, any final thoughts before we cut it off for today?
Just for me, I love what I do. I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. If anybody is just interested in learning more about passive income, give me a call, give me an email. We can sit and talk and hash a few things out and maybe go into depth and help you make some money down the road.
Awesome. That sounds like a great plan. I love making money. So it's
we all do.
A fun gig. More people should do it.
Yes, they should. Yes, they should.
Anyway, well, thanks again, Jeff. Thanks for everybody for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, join all these groups, because this kind of thing, the networking, we're trying to help each other. I'm just kind of the mediator in the middle here, trying to help make sure everybody knows everybody. So if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Jeff. And thanks a lot and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.